Hi, I'm Viktor, simulation specialist at PLM Group. In this video I'll show you some result visualization tools on SIMULIA 3DEXPERIENCE after a structural simulation. Alright, what I'll show you here is how you view the results if you have any other role than the structural designer role. So for example, you have structural mechanics engineer or structural performance engineer or any other role that uses several different apps to set up and run the simulation. In the compass, I go to the compass and then I will search for one of the result apps. So Physics Result Explorer, this is what you use to view the results. That's part of the simulation object that we have open. I don't need to do this. Instead, I can double click on the results here or on the results button in the action bar. If you just ran the simulation, the results should be open already, but now I open the simulation, so it's part of it's already open in the scenario app here, which means I need to switch to the results view. So I'm going to click the button down here to view the results, and we get some of the default plots here. So there's the Von-Mises plot, then there's the displacement plot, deformation without the color scale. And for the displacement plot, for example, we happen to get this, and we can read the values. I can click on the scale and move it up a little bit. So we look at the second frame, which is the first increment, so that contains the results after all the load is applied, which is the only thing we get when we do a perturbation step. So let's look at the Von-Mises stress plot and modify the scale a little bit, and the plot itself. I can double click on the scale and we can modify some of the values if we want to highlight a specific range, or we can modify the out of range colors, for example, and do some certain settings with the scale itself, or the legend rather. The other way to change the plot would be to click on it here, click on the contour itself. We can use the little flyout menu. We can show the min max value, let's show both, or we show only the max value, for example, and then we get it. The little annotation, we can turn them off with this button, make some modification to this setting. The next one is the display group here. So here we can basically choose what parts we want to see, or what elements or what node sets we want to view, which is normally more useful if you have a more complicated analysis or if you have an assembly, for example. If I go to the next button, there is the plot sectioning, so we can look inside the model, slide through it, see from a different view, make a cut like this. We can modify the cut in various ways. Maybe we cut in the Z direction instead, and we can deactivate it like so. We can export the field data, and we can do various plots and settings with this. Sometimes we want to highlight what the deformation shape is like in relation to the original shape. Then we can do that. So let me first edit the plot by going to the plot option here. So the little button or the little pen here. And let's increase the deformation scale so it's more exaggerated. Let's see how this would be. This was a little bit too much maybe. We just want to highlight the new shape after the deformation, so we can see the bending of this. Could also choose to view the mesh at the same time, like so. So this is easy to explore. Here we can change what stress component or what variable we're viewing in this plot. But we wanted to see the results on top of the original shape. So a few ways to do that. One is to change this setting here. So now any new plot will be on top of the existing one. So we can just plot the undeformed model here. And then if I click there, we should get both at the same time. Then if I modify this one, I can use the rendering settings to set an appropriate level of transparency. Let's say we want to have a lot of transparency. And now we can see pretty clearly what's going on. We can go to the plot tab down here in the action bar and create new types of plots. We can do various XY plots as well. Let me turn on the text as well. The sensors are available here for viewing the result forces. Might be a different topic. Calculations, display. Here we also have some of the settings to create the annotations and the display groups. And the compare result here is quite nice. For the plots we have created, we can create a little grid here and compare, let's say, the undeformed model, the von Mises stress, and the displacement, and maybe something else here. And we have a nice little comparison with different plots that we have created. New contour plots are easily created under the plot tab in the action bar down here. The contour plot, let's say we want to look at a different stress component. So a stress component, let's say we want to look at the maximum principal stress, and let's plot it. Now we have several plots on top of each other, so we need to turn off this overlay option. And now we get the maximum principal stress here in this plot. And there is some animation available here also, so we can just get an idea of the deformation, which is now just interpolated between the two result increments or the two frames that we have. Let me stop that one. Now, if we want to keep working with the simulation, maybe we want to modify a load case or make any adjustments. If we're doing a design iteration, for example, we can just switch back to the scenario, and then we're switching back to the scenario creation app, and then we can make any changes here. And if I do that, we have a few different options. Let's say we make a change. Let's go into the remote force. Let's make an adjustment to the magnitude of the force, or, well, let's add another component rather. Let's add the X component as well, which now will change the direction of the force a little bit as a result. We can do this as a separate analysis case, but we can also just save the previous results. So when I click the simulate button here to run the analysis, I can choose to keep the previous results, and then I'll have two results available, the previous ones and the new ones with this new setting. That's it for today. I hope you found it useful. Thanks for watching.